Maritime regulations are extremely complex and often ambiguous. As a consequence, ship crews spend a large amount of their time with administrative tasks, and even experienced officers are not always sure which regulation applies in a given scenario. The e-compliance project is addressing a set of practical use cases to help relieve some of the burden on those who need to create, enforce and comply with maritime regulation.
The e-compliance creation tool is an attempt to address the root problem and to help legislators to create more consistent regulations that are also available in a computer-readable format and hence easily searchable. As a first step, we have compiled a maritime thesaurus to disambiguate maritime terms and to help us use the right words in the right place.
The next step is to extract the actual meaning of regulatory text. In general, this is a very challenging task. We make use of a Luxit system, which is a specialist semantic tool for the annotation and enrichment of free text. In e-compliance, we use it to extract the ship classes to which a maritime regulation applies.
All of this functionality comes together in what we call the creation tool, which is a web-based text editor for the drafting of maritime regulations. The tool can check for a consistent use of maritime terms based on the thesaurus. It makes use of semantic technology to extract the ship classes from the text to which the regulation applies. After consolidation by the user, these ship classes are then stored in a so-called ontology. The tool then provides consistency checking and allows us to do advanced querying of the regulations and to find those that apply to a given ship instance. The creation tool can help legislators to avoid ambiguities and inconsistencies, and it can be used to output regulations in a computer-readable format.
When a ship travels from one European port to another, it needs to send a lot of mandatory forms to the port. Passenger lists, dangerous cargo information, etc. However, most of the data contained in these forms does not change from one port stop to the next. So much of this information exchange is redundant. Much time and effort can be saved by directly sending the required data from one port community system to the next.
In e-compliance, we've looked at different ways and strategies on how to integrate port community systems and allow them to exchange data. This study is based on interviews with 40 industry experts covering all relevant classes of stakeholders who work directly with or depend on the port community systems. It turned out that the most practical technical approach to start integration is to let the systems bilaterally exchange data and information. The most promising data that are to be exchanged are container logistics visibility, track and trace, common login credentials and compliance data. There is also a good potential for added value services like reuse of export declarations and better scheduling of ship berth times at the terminal.
In e-compliance, we have implemented the software infrastructure to allow the ports of Barcelona and Marseille to exchange ship arrival data. In this pilot, we have focused on vessel arrival procedures by exchanging vessel data, dangerous goods information, and scanned files, such as certificates.
Maritime certificates play a crucial role in providing proof of compliance with rules and regulations, or documentation that the holder is capable of performing certain operations. This proof is often required to be issued with a license to perform certain operations that can be of highly critical nature. If such licenses are erroneously withheld, severe costs may be the consequence. If they are erroneously granted, lives may be put at risk. Thus, an efficient and reliable handling of certificates is a very important part of international trade. An implementation of electronic maritime certificates has the potential to prevent fraud and to significantly improve the efficiency of certificate validation. The e-compliance project has created a complete functional implementation of electronic maritime certificates, utilizing a public key infrastructure to electronically sign and validate certificates. This technology is routinely used in electronic passports, web certificates, online banking, and many other security-critical applications. We show how to embed certificates into each other to create chains of trust, linking, for example, recognized organizations to the certificates issued by one of their employees. These certificates are small enough to be stored in a single QR code and can hence be used to make conventional paper certificates tamper-proof. we have developed a mobile application that can be used to scan these QR codes and validate the electronic certificates contained in them. This allows for faster and more secure onboard validation of maritime certificates.
The most knowledgeable people about local port regulations are usually the ship agents. They are the ones who need to tell the ship captains what to do. Currently, the communication is done via telephone or mail, which is slow and tedious. We set out to find a better way to transfer this information. Firstly, we created input screens that allow ship agents to enter rules and tags for either individual ships or the fleet as a whole. Typically, such a role will demand the submission of a certain report at a certain point in time. This rule is then sent to the ship system.
On the ship side, rules and tasks are picked up and processed by the onboard rules engine. This system compares the vessel's current status to what is demanded by the active rules. Alerts and reminders are sent to the crew as required. The actual submission of mandatory reports is done using a tool called Reporting Gateway. This software has been linked up to the rules engine to request and retrieve the set of formalities the vessel in question must comply with for her port call. Safety management systems on ships are still largely paper-based, which makes their maintenance tedious and inefficient. As part of in-compliance, we further develop a software system that maintains and manages the SMS in an electronic format. This system fully supports a control document as SMS manual. Actions to be taken by crew members are managed with a minimum of human intervention in an effective, automated and confidential compliance procedure. The vessel source synchronization process makes minimal use of the limited internet connectivity on the ship, thus keeping communication costs as low as possible. The in-compliance SMS assistant tool stands as a complete, flexible and efficient quality control and compliance toolkit.
In order for the European Union to continue to be recognized as a powerful global economic player through an open single market for trade, seafarers need technology to help them navigate legal obstacles in a more seamless and efficient way. The tools developed through the e-compliance project can facilitate such an approach, helping to bring the maritime sector into the 21st century